artworks with 5 vanishing points are really cool, but a lot of artists don't really know how to use them correctly. And no, I'm not just gonna show you how to draw boxes, I'll actually show you how to draw humans in 5-point perspectives as well. Hi guys, this is a drawing with 1-point perspective. This is a drawing with 5-point perspective, and this is not my name! You probably already know what vanishing points are. They're like magnets that pull all your lines towards them. In simple perspectives, you only have 1 vanishing point. Most standard drawings use 2 vanishing points to make things look a bit more 3-dimensional, and once you add a 3rd vanishing point, you get a correct full perspective similar to real life. If you're not familiar with drawing vanishing points, I highly recommend you learn this stuff first. It's really important, because when you're working with 5-point perspectives, you're actually dealing with all perspectives at the same time. Now, setting up 5-point perspectives is surprisingly easy. You start by placing 2 lines, like a plus. And after that, you add 4 points in a cross formation, keeping the same distance between them. And then you add a 5th vanishing point right in the center. Some artists really like to push the perspective by changing the distances between these points to create even crazier effects here, but honestly, sticking with evenly placed points will already be challenging enough. Now, once you've placed your points, the next step is to add guidelines. To do that, you simply divide the space into even sections. If you have a really good eye for this, you can eyeball it, but if you want to be sure, it's always a good idea to use a ruler just like I do. And after you've marked out those sections, you start connecting these vanishing points with some curved lines. And you want to make sure that your lines always pass through the marks that you've made. Just like that. Don't worry, it doesn't need to be perfect or something, just make sure it kinda looks similar to what I've drawn here. And that's it, that's your basic setup. And once you have that ready, you can start drawing objects inside of it. The easiest example is obviously a box. And similar to other types of perspectives, the vertical lines of the box should always lead toward the top and the bottom vanishing points. And the sidelines should obviously point toward the left and the right vanishing points. And any remaining lines should head straight toward the center. And that's exactly what I meant when I said that 5-point perspectives is really all perspectives happening at once. Now, you don't always have to draw it directly on top of your guidelines like I just did. You can also imagine the flow of these lines in your head if you're good enough. The most important thing is that you always remember that everything still has to point towards the according vanishing point. And then you're all good. Oh yeah, and in case you wondered, these videos are 100% made by me. So what can I say? I'm just working hard so I can please you. If you want to drop a like in exchange for this work, that would be awesome.
You should buy my
book. You should buy my book.
I love you.
If you're just getting started, I really recommend doing this basic exercise that you can see in almost every video. Try drawing simple boxes from different angles inside this 5-point setup. Once you feel more comfortable, you can push it a little further and maybe combine boxes. So just try stacking them on top of one another. This can already be pretty challenging even without the whole 5-point perspective thing. So yeah, that's a good practice. Or you can even add other shapes like pyramids or circles or spheres. Feel free to pause this part of the video if you want to draw along at your own pace. And if you're wondering where I got this special eraser that makes life a lot easier from, my subscribers already know, but I've got a supply list with links to all of my favorite materials in case you want to grab the same tools that I bought.
Your eyes are so gorgeous.
And once you've practiced that and you actually feel confident, we can start actually drawing in 5-point perspective. Like a sir. I know I'm a bit late, my catchphrase didn't fit anywhere. Okay, now let's talk about how to draw actual people inside a 5-point setup. Because drawing boxes is pretty straightforward, you just follow the guidelines and that's easy. But drawing a person, that's a little trickier. The method is basically the same as what I showed you in my perspective tutorial. You split the body into different sections. Depending on perspective, the distances between these parts change drastically. There are a few key divisions that you need to keep in mind. This method of breaking the body into body parts is the easiest and clearest way to work with perspective, especially in this case when things are even more complex. You can also think of this as turning a body into stacked boxes. This works not only just from the front view, but also from the side and basically every other view. As always, the rule is start simple and then add detail. Simplify the figure as much as possible at first. Once you've drawn a human-shaped box inside your setup, the rest should be pretty intuitive. You divide the box roughly in half, and from there on out, you can figure out where the head goes, how big everything else should be, and so on. And if you're now expecting a super detailed step-by-step breakdown on how to draw the rest of the body here, well, sorry, that just doesn't exist. That's why I said earlier, you need to have a good understanding of perspective before attempting to draw a full character in a 5-point perspective. No trick and no shortcut will help you here. It's all about practice. If you're still struggling, it's a good idea to go back and practice a more basic perspective setup first. But there are a few small tips to make things a bit easier.
Your body resembles a wild hyena.
Okay, that was the last one, I swear. There are a few small tips that might make things a bit easier. For example, in real life, something like a neck usually just drops straight down. But in 5-point perspective, it curves alongside the guidelines instead. And now you can apply that logic to basically everything that is just a line that's going straight down. And by the way, same thing goes for things that are straightforward. They point straight towards the vanishing point in the middle. And I know at first all of this might look super weird, but you've just gotta trust the process here. That's also a very common beginner mistake that you should watch out for. Sometimes when people try to draw an object that's supposed to go away from the viewer, they accidentally draw it downward instead. That usually happens because they're focusing too much on following the guidelines without thinking about how it actually makes sense. Just remember, left and right parts of an object go to the left and right vanishing points, and top and bottom parts go towards the top and bottom vanishing points. And anything else goes towards the center. Another important thing that really matters is size. Yeah, come on, make your jokes. Just like in normal 1 or 2-point perspectives, objects get smaller as they move towards the vanishing points, and they get bigger as they move away from them. It's basic perspective knowledge. So if you want to draw something close to the edge of our 5-point perspective setup, it looks smaller and more curved. But if you draw it closer to the center, it will become bigger. And now if you push something towards the background, of course, it will get smaller again because it's going towards the middle vanishing point. So basically, if you want to get really good here, you need to be able to draw shapes really well, and you also need to master perspective. And I just so happen to have made videos on both of those topics already. Especially the video on shape design has some really good exercises. Maybe check that one out next if you are in the mood to get better with your art. Thanks you guys so much for watching. See you next time.
Go to sleep, sweet thing.